Okay, got my half-price McJeans shirt that I got with a, they do, I fall for it every time. You buy a pair of jeans there, and Fawn likes the McJeans, and she likes, particularly that I wear them is more important to her than if she wears them or not, although 20% of the time I'm successful in talking her into accepting a pair as well. Anyways, enough about the clothing channel, but I got my shirt. I'm at a pool. I'll include a couple of photos somewhere in the video. It's a very pretty facility. This is the Muang Thong Gold City Hotel. Right now, I'm waiting to hear from Dr. Wishar. I got a final quote for $35,000 US, about double what I expected it to be, which means it's about double the cost, maybe 10, I don't know, maybe 10 grand more than having it back home. Maybe it's still the same by the time you figure all the other stuff I got to do. I got to stay in a hotel for, they'll probably make me stay home for 2 months. Follow-up care would be obviously non-existent after the 2 months. There's a natural tendency for me, for a lot of people, to just be an idiot and then not spend my money on myself and benefit myself with my money. But I'm over that. I'm ready to do it. I might use my Visa money. My Visa money's freeing up, and then I'll just, which I was going to use to build the house. I'll just delay building the house a little bit. Which on one hand, I'm getting not totally gotten. I'm getting a little tired of living in a 17 square meter room efficiency. I'm tempted to rent a condo for another year or two if it's going to take that long to build the house, which it probably will. Which means I'll have been here 4 or 5 years before I finish a house. So, which not a bad plan. All that to say, I'm really conflicted on building the house because on one hand, I really would like it because it would be a fitness guy's dream of having all the equipment, a lap pool, everything right where I'm at, my perfect coffee spot for the sunrises every morning. Hang on, that's Fawn calling me. I told her she interrupted a YouTube video. She immediately started apologizing. I'm like, okay, I'm not upset. It's fine. But boy, what an attitude shift from what I'm used to in the West, huh? Nobody likes being disrespected. It's my time, it's my resources. I should spend it on myself. My kids are saying spend it on myself. So, and I've got a good friend whose name is definitely not Kevin. He's more frugal than me, and I've been gone on him a little bit. He's not enjoying his money, and so I need to, again, take my own advice. But enough about that. Some days I get a little fed up with Fawn's boys. Well, they're very good-hearted people. They are very good people. They're just needy, and the Thai culture of spoiling, it gets to be a lot, and I just need to, again, take my own advice again and set those ground rules and live by my ground rules. I did give some pushback right directly to Fawn's mom, which I normally don't do, and so I went over to her and I said, look, please don't send them over before 6:30 in the morning. And then she immediately, yeah, I know, we had the agreement, and you're right. So just let's kind of remember the agreement, because it's just, at 5 in the morning, it's annoying. So I did join another gym, a fancy gym at the Central Plaza Mall. It's half as nice as the same brand at the Mall Colat, which I'm seeing also has a better coffee shop, which also has a place I can buy high premium coffee beans and do some gourmet. Just not that I care like a snooty or something, but they have really nice food there. I can get like really nice German smoked sausage, which is delicious, and for some reason I acquired a taste for here. I just really like it. To me, I'd rather have that than a hamburger. And it's a good chance to check out Centron Plaza a little more intimately, a little more every day, kind of how's the morning, how's the routine there. Roads, I can go from the back of Centron Plaza Mall, back alleys to Bonkers Cafe and get my gourmet coffee, which I like that back alley running stuff. I like that behind the scenes, the real Colat, the whole real scene. I like that. So that can be very cool. So I'm going to try it for a month and see how I like it. When you retire anywhere, it's not going to matter here or now, though here it's easier to manage, I think. You'll get this, oh gosh, I got to do this. You'll just start pressuring yourself immediately because we're the providers and the protectors, and you're the big income guy. You're typically the primary income, which is a big responsibility. I carry that, and I'm constantly just letting myself off the hook and going, I have all day to do this. I can stop right now and chat with my friend for 40 more minutes and be in air quotes, late to whatever the fuck it is I was maybe going to possibly go to, and maybe I make it, and maybe I don't, maybe I don't care. Maybe after this, there's a place that's got 100 draft beers, they're saying in the Kalat City, I'll just stop by and get a beer flight, which I'm not a big flight guy, but for tasting it's kind of nice. You know, I'll just do a flight and I'll just sit there for 2 hours and do a flight and read a book. How about that? And then I'll think about going and doing the shopping I was planning on doing, you know? And it's just being nicer to yourself. I think guys were just not used to being in this selfish mode. So what I really wanted to talk about, I kind of wanted to talk about the Thai people, the Kon Thai, because a lot of people render a lot of opinions about them that I think aren't very helpful or accurate. And I got this idea yesterday from talking from a friend of mine who's lived abroad for more than a decade, a Kon Thai, and then they've recently come back here for a couple of years, and they're struggling with some culture shock. I had to laugh at their expense because I'm like, hey, and then they immediately got the joke that that's normally something that I'd be feeling, but it's hard for them. So you take a Thai person, and this isn't the first. I wouldn't go off of just one person's opinion. I've run into this multiple times, and they've all said the same thing. So I'm gonna hang my hat on this a bit. You take a Thai person and you put them out of the Thai culture, put them in the modern West. There is a little greater functionality to the culture in some ways. The extreme jealousy here is a thing. Some of the maybe it comes from China or not, who cares? But this speaking super directly and without many times without almost any regard for how the other person's going to receive that word. And this was fine by me, but just for example, the Dr. Wishar looked at me and he goes, "You fat." Those were his exact words. He didn't say "kun uan" or "kun uan kun" or something. He said, "You fat." His English is pretty good, and very good actually, and way better than my Thai. And I laughed, and that was appropriate in that setting because he can just tell me the straight out truth. He's like, "You need to lose weight," and I immediately went on a strong diet, and I'm down 3 kilograms. I'm down to 86 kilos. I was a peak at 89, which is ridiculous. I have no business being 89 kilos at 5'9". And Thais will tell another Thai, "Your skin is very dark." And there's a thing about that here. There's a big social thing. Fawn has really advanced herself, and she's not just tan, she's a dark tan. And she's told me several times a very sad story of her growing up as a little girl in the village. One, women aren't given a whole lot of thought, respect or regard. And then a dark tan one. She felt socially about the level of the street dogs growing up. And she lives her parents are in the same house she grew up in. We live in the same street she grew up in. I can't imagine what this experience is like for her, having me, the alien from Mars, now in her world. It's got to feel weird. It feels weird for me living there. I feel really weird that her dad, Kun Pa, and I's paths have crossed and have built a friendship of, statistically, we should have never met. I find that very incongruous and very entertaining and interesting and enjoyable. There's the racism, the prejudice based on skin tone here is pretty strong. But she's got a relatively high-level government job. She's got a relatively large salary, very large for the Isan region, I'll tell you. And she has done very well for herself. Amazing she got hired because lookism, John Stossel did a great thing on that back in the States, a nice documentary maybe 15, 20 years ago. You could probably look it up. Lookism is like everything here. It really is. That's what I'm always telling guys, clean themselves up and all that. Yeah, you don't have to. I don't care if you do or not, but it is worthy of considering. The Thais are really good people. They work very hard. They're typically working every day. They work at their job. Most often, I'd say 6 days a week, and I'd say a very common Thai work day is 9 to 11 hours a day. I'd call it 60 hours a week, 6 times 10. I'd say is real common. Is that the average? I couldn't tell you. There's no way I'm going to do that research, and where would I find credible data that I'd be willing to share? And I've just stuck with what I see with my own eyes, and that's really all I can tell you. And generally, they're not interested in us. More than 90% of them, if it's at 99 or is it 92%, I can't say that, but I can tell you it's over 90, really are totally uninterested in what we're doing and who we are. And as I've said before, but it's not a dig on them at all. It's the same as example I gave prior. Some Chinese or French dude walking down the street back in the States, obviously dressed differently from all my friends in Detroit. He's clearly not from around here. And I'm not worried, gee, is he okay? Gee, what's he thinking about? What does he think about this? I don't really care. I'm on my way to go meet a friend and go have a beer somewhere. You know what I mean? I'm on my way to go grab a workout. I don't care what that guy's thinking or doing. And that's how it is here for them. They might look at us as a mild curiosity at the most, and we're out of their head and they're on with their day. It's now when they take an interest in you, then you have to think, why is this? What's the reason behind it? You really don't care much about us. And again, that's nothing negative. It's just we're not their culture. Thais are very focused on everything Thai. It's a very internally focused, very kind of isolationist, which I think the U.S. is, probably could benefit from being more like, in all honesty. Culture. They're very focused on Thailand. They're aware there's minor skirmishes with their neighboring countries, but they're the military power of their region. They don't worry about being invaded by Myanmar or Cambodia or whatever little group of scammers or rebels are fighting anywhere. They easily quash any little military conflict in the region, their immediate region, and they don't really have any worries. They really don't. And they don't worry about us. There's an enormously, toweringly high standard for politeness for them, and it's not just that they have to be polite, it's that they must appear to be jai-di, that is good-hearted. They must appear to be a very good-hearted, generous, kind, just the best-hearted person you could imagine, just at all times. Like they just have their perfectly, coordinated outfit as though they just stepped out of the temple having given a giant donation and listened attentively to some monk give them a blessing or something, and they're on the way to go check on their mama, and they bump into you, and they're going to say the nicest, most polite thing imaginable to you. That is what you're going to get 99% of the time from all the Thais here. It's an enormous standard for them that they must appear like that. They could be thinking you're an idiot and they hate you, or that you're rude, or that you're here as a sex monger or something. They might have that prejudice against you or something, but they will not show it, because to show it will bring shame on them and their family, and they're not doing that. They're not doing that for you're not worth that to them. So it's only when you push back past that, and then generally, in the village, I'm in a village culture in the Isan region. It's super different than if you go somewhere else. So, commenting on any one local regional culture. In Bangkok, it's very international. If you learn to speak or hang out with a bunch of Thais that speak English or your native language really well, find an ability to make friends and things like that in the big international cities. Bangkok's the best example of that. You might get that maybe in Hua Hin or something. You might get that in Chiang Mai or something. You might get that in Khon Kaen. Khon Kaen's a big university city. But generally where I'm at, I rarely socialize with any Thai men. Now, I've got Fawn's co-workers and her relatives, male people there, and they're all very nice to me, and they're all very polite to me, again, based on the standards. Some go a little bit beyond that, and I do routinely get sincere invitations to go do things, go have a beer with them or something. One time a group of guys were motorcycling from one part of the country to the other to meet up with a bunch of teachers. Fawn was in the teacher group, and I was invited, and I feel sincerely, to ride with them. It was a longer ride than I was comfortable with my back, and my bike still wasn't fully situated either. But socializing between me and the Thai men is minimal in the Isan region. And I think that, not that they're not friendly, but that's about where it ends, okay? The women, it's a little more, but that's all just through Fawn. And they're going to include me a little bit, and not include me to a certain extent when we go somewhere. A lot of times, I'm a big reader, as you guys know, so I bring a book, or I'm reading a book on my phone. Nice having the bigger phone, because you really can truly read on it conveniently. I'll sit there and read while they up, you soup sip, gossip, the local village gossip and the work gossip while they eat and stuff. And then once in a while, I'll insert myself in the conversation. I'll make a comment about something, or I'll ask somebody something. If I want an engagement from another Thai, the best way is to ask a question, because then, if they'll answer. They don't have to answer it. In Thailand, you don't have to answer questions, and we as foreigners, need to learn to shut up sometimes, zip it, and just not answer certain questions. I've gotten better. That's a hard skill, because it's considered very rude in America to do that. Here, it's not considered rude at all. But other than that, I don't really engage with them that much. If I'm a customer somewhere, sure, they're going to be nice because you're a customer. If I go to Bonkers Cafe, which is run by an Aussie guy and his Thai wife, and the Thais there are very friendly, but I'm a customer. Not that taking away from any of them. They seem to be very jai-di people, and I feel that they're sincerely engaging with me. but I don't push myself on them. And there's a good lesson there. It really is important for me, and I recommend you think about this, is to sometimes zip it and see if the Thai you're kind of engaging a little bit with, see if they pick the conversation back up or if they let it go. You know, sometimes with that high politeness standard, you can push yourself on somebody and they'll keep accepting it because they have to have that, the appearance of being JD all the time. And I've pushed less, and I found myself with enjoying my own company more, so I think I've gotten an answer. I may fairly soon here be doing the surgery, and I've got to consider if I'm raiding my Visa account, and if the government catches me, fine, I'll just pay the 20,000 baht fine. And please, no arguing on that. I've got that set up. I can just pay a fine, okay? I know there isn't a, whatever you want to say about that is fine, but that's all I'm going to say. Other than that, it's a challenge, still fun with her boys. That's the biggest challenge. It is 1,000 times easier if you find a lady without kids, or if the kids are already 18, then you can kind of see what you got, and then you can just start taking the mom on tour, start taking her on vacation. If you're a traveler, then just do your travel. When she's home, yeah, the adult, particularly male children, will come over and go, meh, meh. And when you hear a 25-year-old man do that, balking like a baby bird in a nest, it's a little like, wow, really? But whatever. My biggest fear is that, like of her two boys, the one that's the family favorite, who's more spoiled than the other one, significantly so, grows up to be a real pain in the neck. And then I got a problem that maybe I can't solve because he's going to count more than me in the family. My only real response would be to then start going on tour more or renting a condo in another place, which means I'm essentially abandoning the home to some partial extent, some percentage of the home I just built. But I mean, I'll have enjoyed it for 10 years. That's my update. That's kind of my review on the Thais. And the more international Thais themselves complain about the village Thais. They have the exact same complaints that we do. So don't feel bad. There you have it. That's kind of a mini review and an update. There you have it. Thanks a lot. Bye.
So here's the Muang Thong Hotel in Nansum, right on Mitropop Highway. It's a beautiful facility and it's never crowded. Very, very few customers, honestly. And then here's the pool. It's a stunning pool. It's incredibly beautiful. And I have it to myself 90+% of the time. It's really a relaxing afternoon. Funny shot there. And then here's just a photo I took of myself to kind of chart my progress or lack thereof on the weight training. I'm just slowly climbing out of the hole here, trying to stay on it. And then here's a beautiful cafe, and I did go off diet, and I shared this delicious blueberry cheesecake with Fawn at a really, really posh cafe. Really, really a fun afternoon.
So, Mr. Todster, the one thing they didn't really get is they didn't reposition my cases, but these things are insanely convenient, so I'm going to stay with them. But I figured out how I can mount them better. The first step is to fix the taillights. The Honda taillights are like 5 inches wide each. I mean, what the hell? So I'm just buying some generic 12-volt LEDs, and I'm going to take some epoxy putty and some paint, and I'm going to sculpt some frickin' taillights that make frickin' sense. I don't know why this is so difficult. Anyways, but it's a good project for me, so it's fun. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to just find a good welder who just takes direction, and I can move these in a couple inches or so each side, and collectively that'll make a nice difference and lower them a little bit. And they're wide. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe I should have gone to the top access type like you have, but I really don't want a sport bike bagger. I don't know. Got to figure this out. Motorcycle problems. My name is Rob, and thank you for supporting my YouTube channel. I meant every word I just said with respect.